Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating, honestly kind of wild dichotomy. We are watching modern technology step in to literally save our physical bodies. But at the exact same time, it is potentially threatening our minds and our social connections. It's the ultimate double-edged sword defining our modern era. And we're going to break it all down for you right now.
So let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. Technology is promising to help us live longer than ever before, but who or what will we actually be spending that time with? Because, as you'll see throughout this explainer, the very same tools granting us this unprecedented physical longevity are simultaneously introducing incredibly complex, hidden risks to our emotional well-being. We are definitely living longer, sure, but the entire landscape of human companionship is fundamentally changing right beneath our feet.
Section 1. The Human Quest. Okay, let's set the stage by looking at the sheer medical progress we've made over the last 2 centuries, because it's the foundation of our physical journey. It brilliantly illustrates our historical success in keeping older people alive much longer. Think about it. Back in 1816, a 65-year-old was expected to live just 11 more years, dying around 76. Today, that exact same 65-year-old can expect to live 21 more years, easily reaching 86 or well beyond. But, as noted cardiologist Dr. Eric Topol argues, we might actually be obsessing over the wrong metric entirely here.
The crucial point we need to understand is the massive difference between our lifespan and our health span. Look, pushing our lifespan to 100 or 120 is, frankly, ludicrous if we're frail, suffering from cognitive decline, or just stuck on life support. Our goal as a society absolutely has to shift toward maximizing our health span. That means living to 85 or 90 completely intact, cognitively sharp, and physically mobile.
Section 2. AI's Medical Promise.
To actually achieve that idealized health span, we have to talk about the massive physical promise that AI and modern medicine bring to the table. And we start with a pretty staggering reality: 95%. 95% of adults in the United States have a chronic disease by the time they hit age 64. That is wild. If we just keep extending our lifespan without addressing that number, we're literally just extending the years we spend sick. Dr. Topol points out that what he calls the big 3 age-related diseases account for up to 85% of the gap between our lifespan and our health span. We're talking about neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, cancer, and cardiovascular disease like heart failure. And here is the terrifying but actually very hopeful fact about them. They all take about 20 years to incubate in our bodies before they actually strike.
And this is exactly where AI leaps in as our medical savior. In the past, doctors might know you were at high risk for cancer or heart disease, but they really couldn't tell you if it would hit at age 60 or age 99. AI medical forecasting changes the game entirely. It can identify not just who is at risk, but exactly when it's going to strike. This enables revolutionary primary prevention, meaning we can jump in and actually intercept these diseases decades before they happen.
Section 3. The Pivot. Technology gets intimate.
Okay, so we are clearly using AI to optimize our physical bodies, and those results are going to be spectacular. But we need to make a hard pivot here. We need to examine how this very same underlying technology is interacting with our emotional lives. We're using AI to ensure our bodies live longer, right? But what happens when AI targets our minds, not just our bodies? Do real human friends even stand a chance when the same technology that can predict cancer starts replacing messy, real-world relationships?
Section 4. The Rise of the AI Companion.
This brings us directly to a massive cultural shift happening right now, primarily among young people, and we all need to be paying very close attention to it. Shockingly, 1/3 of American teens now use AI for deep social interactions and relationships. Let that just sink in for a second. 1/3. They aren't just using it to help with their math homework or to write an essay. They are using it for deep, meaningful companionship.
And there's really no neat dividing line anymore between a study tool and a digital friend. On one hand, you have dedicated companions like Character.ai or Replica, which are built specifically for emotional support and deep conversations. But on the other hand, even general assistants, tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, are blurring the lines. What starts as homework help quickly blurs into daily companionship, with kids asking for advice on arguments or just talking when they feel lonely.
Tech journalist Kevin Roose actually spent an entire month interacting with 18 different AI companions just to understand what the appeal was. And he discovered their main allure really quickly. Unlike your human friends who have their own lives, their own sleep schedules, and their own problems, chatbots flatter you. They never disagree, they reply instantly at 2 a.m. To the AI, you are literally the absolute center of the universe.
Section 5. The hidden risks of AI.
But here's the catch. This constant, perfectly agreeable availability leads us right into the hidden emotional perils of this AI boom. What feels amazing in the moment might be doing serious long-term damage. As former Surgeon General Vivek Murthy points out, human relationships are inherently messy. They're complicated, people disagree with you, they let you down, they force you to compromise. AI substitutes completely lack this friction. And by avoiding the messy reality of human disagreement, a young person's ability to actually navigate the real social world gets seriously stunted.
We can actually define this phenomenon as social muscle atrophy. Think about it exactly like physical exercise. When you constantly use perfectly agreeable bots as a substitute for having hard conversations with your parents or navigating a complex fight with a real friend, that vital social muscle rapidly weakens from disuse. And we have to objectively acknowledge the truly grave reality here. In extreme cases, these technologies aren't just creating socially awkward teens, they can be downright dangerous. The heartbreaking story of 14-year-old Sewell Setzer III, who tragically died by suicide after months of intense, isolating conversations with a character.ai chatbot, shows us exactly how these addictive, unregulated systems can steer vulnerable users into incredibly dark places when they replace real human intervention. What's really fascinating here is the striking parallel to the social media era of the 2010s. Back then, tech executives built these addictive platforms, but they strictly banned their own children from using them, often sending them to screen-free schools. Today, we are seeing a similar, really telling ambivalence among AI leaders. Founders like Sam Altman openly acknowledge that while kids are still going to have human friends, AI companions are inevitably going to be a huge part of their lives, which highlights this deep uncertainty about the ultimate societal impact of what they're unleashing.
Section 6. Guardrails for the future.
So how on earth do we navigate this double-edged sword where AI can predict our heart failure decades in advance, but potentially isolate our teenagers in their bedrooms today? The path forward absolutely requires clear guardrails. Step 1, we need to implement robust parental controls like high-level chat summaries that flag depression without needing total surveillance. Step 2, we have to clearly, explicitly explain to kids that chatbots are systems. They are lines of code, not actual human beings, no matter how empathetic they sound. In step 3, we have to fiercely balance screen time with unstructured, outdoor human play to keep those social muscles strong. Because, as Kevin Roos notes, the technology itself is not inherently evil. For some teens, these tools provide real enthusiasm. They help with social anxiety, or they even act in a somewhat therapeutic sense. It's just not black and white. And that means parents and society at large really have to evaluate the impact of these tools on a deeply individual, case-by-case basis.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder as we step fully into this new era of artificial intimacy. Will we master AI as a brilliant tool to extend our physical health span, or will we just let it passively replace the messy, beautiful human connections that actually make a long life worth living? AI has the power to gift us decades of healthy, vibrant life. But seriously, what good is a perfect health span if we lose our human connection along the way? Thank you for exploring this with me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we'll catch you next time.